Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Elon Musk taught himself rocket science through reading. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading and thinking. Benjamin Franklin dedicated 5 hours every week to deliberate learning. And you spend 5 hours every week scrolling, consuming content that makes you feel productive while producing nothing. You are not learning. You are entertaining yourself with the illusion of growth. And the gap between you and the people operating at the highest level is not talent. It is not luck. It is the 5-hour rule. 5 hours per week of focused, deliberate learning. Not consumption. Learning. There is a difference. And that difference is everything. Here is what most people call learning. They listen to a podcast while commuting. They scroll through educational content on social media. They watch productivity videos on YouTube. They read articles while waiting in line. And they believe this counts. They believe this is how you grow. It is not. This is consumption. And consumption without implementation is entertainment. You are not getting smarter. You are getting better at sounding smart in conversations while your actual skills remain unchanged. Deliberate learning is different. Deliberate learning requires focus, silence, deep engagement with material that is slightly beyond your current capability. It requires taking notes by hand, testing your understanding, applying the concepts immediately, explaining what you learned to someone else. This is work. This is why most people do not do it. Because watching a video feels like learning without the effort. And your brain prefers the illusion of progress to actual progress every single time. Benjamin Franklin understood this 300 years ago. He created a structured learning system. Every week, he dedicated 5 hours to reading and deliberate study. But not random reading. Focused reading. He chose topics that would make him more effective, more persuasive, more capable. He took notes. He experimented. He applied what he learned immediately in his work. And over decades, this compounded into genius. Not born genius. Built genius. Through 5 hours a week of deliberate practice. Bill Gates still follows this system. He takes think weeks. 7 days twice a year where he does nothing but read and think. No meetings. No calls. No interruptions. Just learning. And during these weeks, he consumes information at a level most people cannot comprehend. 50 books. Hundreds of papers. Deep technical material. And he does not just read. He synthesizes. He connects ideas. He generates insights. He comes back from these weeks with strategies that shaped Microsoft for years. This is not casual consumption. This is deliberate learning weaponized. You do not need think weeks. You need 5 hours. 1 hour per weekday. Or 2.5 hours twice per week. The distribution does not matter. The deliberateness does. Because 5 hours of focused learning beats 50 hours of passive consumption every single time. And right now you are doing 50 hours of passive consumption. Podcasts in the background. Articles while distracted. Videos at double speed. And you are learning nothing. Because learning is not about exposure to information. Learning is about integration of information. And integration requires focus. Here is what happens when you commit to the 5-hour rule. Week 1, you choose one skill. One domain. One area where mastery would change your trajectory. Not 5 areas. 1. Because depth beats breadth every single time. You find the best book on this topic. Not the most popular. The best. The one that people who are actually skilled recommend. And you read it. Not skim. Read. With a pen. Taking notes. Asking questions in the margins. Testing whether you actually understand what the author is saying. Week 2, you find a course or a tutorial. Something that teaches the practical application. And you do not just watch. You do. You follow along. You build the thing. You make the mistakes. You debug the errors. You struggle through the hard parts. Because struggle is where learning happens. Ease is where learning stops. And most people optimize for ease. They want to feel like they are learning without the discomfort of actually learning. So they consume content that validates what they already know. And they wonder why they never improve. Week 3, you find someone who has the skill you are building. And you study them. Not as a fan. As a student. You analyze how they think. How they make decisions. What frameworks they use. What patterns they recognize that you do not. And you take notes. Detailed notes. Not so you remember everything. So you can reference it later when you are applying the skill. Because learning is not memorization. Learning is building mental models that guide action. And mental models are built through deliberate analysis. Not passive observation. Week 4, you create something. You apply what you learned. Not perfectly. Badly. Because creation is the test. This is where you discover what you actually understand versus what you only think you understand. And the gap will be massive. You will realize you missed fundamentals. You will struggle with concepts that seemed obvious when you read about them. And this is the point. This struggle is not failure. This struggle is learning. The creation process reveals the gaps. And once you know the gaps, you can fill them. Then you repeat. Another 5 hours. Deeper into the same skill. Not jumping to a new skill. Deeper. Because mastery is not broad knowledge of many things. Mastery is deep knowledge of one thing applied in multiple contexts. And deep knowledge takes time. Most people quit after 4 weeks because they are not yet good. But good takes months. Great takes years. And you are trying to get great in 4 weeks while spending 0 deliberate hours. The math does not work. Here is why the 5-hour rule works when everything else fails. It is specific. You are not trying to learn everything. You are committing 5 hours to one thing. It is scheduled. Not I will learn when I have time. 5 specific hours blocked on your calendar. It is deliberate, not passive consumption. Active engagement with material designed to stretch your current capability. And it is consistent. Not intense for 1 week, then nothing for a month. 5 hours every single week. Forever. Because learning is not a destination. Learning is a practice. Most people have the wrong relationship with learning. They think learning happens in school, or in courses, or through credentials. And once they have the credential, they stop. But the people operating at the highest level never stop. They are learning every week. Reading, experimenting, seeking feedback, iterating. Not because they love learning, because they understand that the moment you stop learning, you start dying. Your skills erode. Your thinking calcifies. Your advantage disappears. And someone who never stopped learning passes you. The 5-hour rule is not about becoming smarter. It is about staying relevant, about maintaining your edge, about ensuring that in 5 years you are not doing the same work at the same level while the world has moved on. Because the world is moving fast. And if you are not deliberately learning, you are falling behind. Not staying the same. Falling behind. Because everyone else is learning. Even if they are learning badly. And learning badly beats not learning at all. Here is exactly how to implement this starting this week. Block 5 hours on your calendar. Treat them as non-negotiable. These hours do not move. They do not get sacrificed for meetings. They do not disappear because you are busy. They are sacred, more important than any other commitment. Because these 5 hours are the investment in future you. In future you will either thank you or resent you based on what you do with these hours. Choose your one skill. The skill that if you mastered it would genuinely change your trajectory. Not a hobby. Not something interesting. Something valuable. Something that increases your earning potential or your impact or your capability in a way that compounds. Programming, writing, speaking, selling, building, managing, teaching, leadership. Choose one, not 5. One. And commit to building mastery. Not familiarity. Mastery. Find the best resources. Not the easiest. The best. Ask people who have the skill what they used. Not what is popular. What actually worked. Buy the book. Enroll in the course. Hire the coach. Invest in the learning. Because cheap learning is expensive. You waste months on mediocre resources. You build bad habits. You learn wrong frameworks. Then you have to unlearn everything. It is faster and cheaper to pay for quality on day one. Set up your environment. Learning requires focus. You cannot learn while your phone is buzzing, while notifications are coming in, while you are accessible to everyone. Your 5 hours need to be protected. Phone off. Apps closed. Door closed. Headphones on. Silence. This is deep work applied to learning. And deep work requires environmental design. If the environment is not built for focus, you will not achieve focus. Track your learning. Not what you consumed, what you understand, what you can do, what you created. Because hours do not matter. Outcomes matter. You can spend 5 hours watching tutorials and learn nothing. Or you can spend 5 hours deliberately practicing and transform your capability. The question is not did you do the time. The question is did you do the work. And the work is active, engaged, focused, difficult. If it does not feel hard, you are not learning. You are reviewing. After 12 weeks of the 5-hour rule, you will have 60 hours of deliberate practice. 60 hours is enough to go from 0 to competent in most skills. Not expert, competent. And competent is valuable. Competent gets you paid. Competent opens opportunities. Competent is the foundation for expert. And most people never reach competent because they never invest 60 deliberate hours. They invest 600 distracted hours and wonder why they have not improved. After 1 year of the 5-hour rule, you will have 260 hours of deliberate practice. 260 hours is enough to reach the top 20% in most domains. Not the top 1%, the top 20%. And the top 20% is where most of the value is. You do not need to be the best. You need to be better than most. And better than most comes from consistent, deliberate practice over time. Not intensity, consistency. After 5 years of the 5-hour rule, you will have 1,300 hours of deliberate practice. 1,300 hours is approaching mastery. Real mastery. The kind where you see patterns others miss. Where you solve problems others cannot. Where your judgment is trusted. Where your work is valued. Where opportunities come to you. And all it took was 5 hours a week. While everyone else was scrolling. While everyone else was consuming. While everyone else was getting comfortable. You were learning. Deliberately. Consistently. And now you are operating at a level they cannot reach. If this video showed you the difference between consumption and learning, and how 5 hours per week compounds into mastery, subscribe to this channel. Every video here reveals the systems the highest performers actually use. And if you are ready to commit to the 5-hour rule, comment what skill you are building. Let's become deliberate together. Here is your move right now. Open your calendar. Find 5 hours this week. Block them. Label them learning. Choose your one skill. Find the best book or course. Order it. That is it. 60 seconds. The commitment is made. Now you just have to show up. 5 years from now, you are standing here again. But different. You are the person who invested 1,300 hours into deliberate learning. Who built mastery while others consumed content. Who became genuinely skilled while others collected credentials. Who operates at the top 20% because you did the work no one else would do. 5 hours a week. Every week. For 5 years. That version of you exists. You just have to prove it. Starting this week. Starting with 5 hours. Starting now.